All right, this is going to be a fun one. So, something happened recently that basically gave me a sense of direction, I suppose I could say. This is a matter of self-care and patterns from childhood, right? Having the capacity to choose self-care, which is in and of itself an act of self-love, over repeating a pattern from childhood. And so I'm not going to talk about what it is that happened, but what I am going to say is that I remember telling myself that I need to take care of myself, right? I was really worried about something. And I noticed that everything present from childhood, well, I guess I should say everything rooted from childhood was there, right? The elevated heart rate, the worry, the anxiety, the hypervigilance, everything. And I was able to transition myself from that, which if I continued that, I would have continued repeating a pattern. So I sat myself down in meditation, and I just brought awareness to my breath. I brought my breath back to a calm flow. And I just thought to myself, I was like, I'm taking care of myself. And then, like, whenever I kind of, like, started to move away from that, I would bring myself back to it. And as a result of this, it's become very, I don't know if the word is prevalent or relevant, but I see how often I repeat patterns. Now, this is very valuable for me in terms of my journey of healing and my own spiritual life in general, because it's helping me to see where I'm at. For myself, I know what it's like to have a dead battery. I know what it's like to not take care of myself. I know what it's like to not put myself first and put everyone else first. I know what that's like. And I'm not here to compare myself with anybody else. Just in my own experiences of life, in Chris's experiences of life, I know how to not take care of myself. It's kind of strange to say that, but having that said that way kind of puts things in necessary contrast, because it's like, okay, well, let's start taking better care of the self, right? And with that, this is something that I probably haven't known my whole life, but I can give myself a lot more of what I need rather than relying on other people for it. Just wanted to take a moment of silence for that. Throughout my life, I've really believed that I need to outsource my needs to other people. When really, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are things that I need other people for, but a lot of things I can actually give myself. And that's very liberating. It really is. And self-care is one of those things, as it is an act of self-love, and it brings me back to myself. I know what it's like to lose myself, and it's a very scary thing. It really is. And I'm sure that a lot of other people feel the same way too. Right? Losing the self. It's scary. It is. When I don't do enough for myself, I lose myself. When I don't do what I need to for myself, I lose myself. When I don't put myself first, I lose myself. when I go into patterns from childhood, I lose myself. Because that's not me. The patterns from childhood, that's not me. That's little Chris when he was in survival. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or people please. I have a lot of experience with this one. People pleasing. Saying yes when I mean no. I have a lot of experience with that. It's weird. It really is. It's strange to abandon the self. And the opposite of that is self-care, putting the self first. Rather than abandoning the self. I just said abandoning. So, yeah. It was really cool to have that experience recently because it showed me that I can do better for myself and I'm actually in so much more control. Let me just be very clear. Repeating childhood patterns based in trauma, which I would argue most of them are, is exceedingly, for me at least, exceedingly seductive because it's familiar and comfortable, right? So it's kind of like, come here, you know. Bubble bath. Warmth, comfort, familiarity. Yeah, you're going to have an elevated heart rate, you're going to have anxiety, you're going to worry, you're going to have hypervigilance, but it's comfortable. That's all you've ever known, so why would you go look for anything else? You don't need self-care. You don't need self-care. If you start taking care of yourself, you're going to stop worrying about everyone else, and you know you can't do that. Because you're supposed to be the person that watches after everyone else. You're the caretaker. You're the rescuer. That's how seductive it is. That's how seductive it is. So it's really cool to be aware of this and to see everything for what it is, because it literally is what it is. Self-care is necessary. And the more I practice it, the more I realize just how much I actually do need to put myself first. How much I have abandoned and neglected myself throughout my entire life. It's scary. It's scary to lose myself. It really is. And then, by the way, I'll end off with this. When I do utilize self-care, I realize that the seductive nature, there we go, I'll use that word. The seductive nature of repeating a pattern, it's kind of like a quick thrill. It's not as tasty as I previously thought it was. But that's one of the biggest reasons why it's been there, is because it has a level of enticitiveness. It's enticing to enough of an extent to be like, you need more of me. No, I don't. I need to take care of myself.